Our third child's birth, Theo, was a bit scary. It was hard, it was humbling, it was emotional, and it definitely went nothing like we expected. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, or welcome to our channel if you are new here. Today I want to talk about Theo's birth story because it is definitely one for the books. Going into this pregnancy, I actually felt very prepared. This was my third baby. I had experienced both types of labor before. I had a C-section as well as a non-surgical birth, so I figured no matter how Theo was born, I was truly ready. I had a plan and I mentally felt very confident. Now, I was a little nervous about attempting my very first VBAC, but my OB team was absolutely phenomenal throughout my pregnancy. They were very reassuring to me, answered every question I had along the way, and they always made sure that I felt informed and supported every step of the way. But birth has a way of reminding you that plans are, well, just plans. So I was 36 weeks in a day when my water broke at 3 in the morning. We got to the hospital around 4:15 a.m. and I was only about 1.5 centimeters dilated. They admitted me from triage around 5 a.m. after confirming my water did break, and they started me on Pitocin. This was because from early on things just weren't progressing the way that they should. So, for a very condensed version of what had gone on, basically, Theo was misaligned. He was also sunny side up, which caused my cervix to be positioned behind his head, which meant labor was very slow, inefficient, and incredibly painful because it was causing intense back labor. By 11, I was finally dilated to a 4, and I was still walking, managing, and being determined to do this without pain medication or an epidural. But by 2:30 p.m., I still had not progressed much, and I was really starting to feel antsy. By 3:30 p.m., I was at a 6 centimeter dilated, and that's when things started to really intensify. I could not relax, I could not get comfortable, and walking was no longer an option for me. We even tried a bunch of different positions and movements to try to turn him so his face was back towards my spine and to help get his head back behind my cervix, but unfortunately, none of those worked. By 4 p.m., I started to feel like I needed to push, but I was still only at a 6. So they did find that during contractions, I would temporarily dilate to a 10, but as soon as the contraction ended, I would go right back to a 6. And my doctor started to get concerned about that. He also told me that I really could not push because if I pushed and tried to push him out, being only dilated to a 6, I would tear very badly. And though he was skilled and prepared to do that if it was needed, he'd really rather avoid having that kind of traumatic birth. So we just had to kind of hold out on that while discussing what to do next. At this point is when he gently brought up the idea of an epidural, which I was strongly against. Now it wasn't because he wanted to force it on me or anything like that, but he was worried that I was going to end up in an emergency C-section and felt if I already had the epidural, that would make the C-section process go a lot faster so we could get the baby out quicker. And once the reasoning was explained to me, I trusted them and I went ahead and I got the epidural around 4:30 p.m. It was difficult to get in because of how intense the contractions were. We kept having to pause. But once it was in, I actually felt 100 times better and literally told them, you know what, actually I'm fine now. Let's just let him stay in there for a little while longer and let me get some sleep. But the moment my body finally relaxed, everything changed. I instantly went to a 10 and we just started pushing, but that's when things became urgent. So Theo was born with a prolapsed cord, which almost resulted in an emergency C-section because I had one chance, just one push to get him out. And if I couldn't, then we were going into an emergency C-section. Thankfully, I was able to get him out in that one push. He didn't cry right away, and I was only able to hold him for about 10 seconds before they took him. When he finally cried, unfortunately, he did cause his lungs to pop. So he was a late preterm, so his body was strong, but his lungs just weren't quite ready yet. So he was placed on a CPAP and later needed chest tubes to stop the air from building up in his chest. He was then transferred to another hospital who had available NICU space, where he spent 11 days there recovering, growing stronger, and basically learning how to be a newborn. And I think this is the part that people don't always talk about, the emotional impact of it all. Even though the outcome wasn't as bad as it could have been, even when we both ended up healthy, safe, and okay, it was still, in a sense, very disappointing and honestly heartbreaking. I once again had to grieve the birth experience I thought I was going to have, while also focusing on recovering not only for myself, but watching my baby have to recover too. And even though 11 days may not sound like a long NICU stay, it was still incredibly hard. It was hard to see him there, hard to leave the hospital every night without our son, just overall hard. It wasn't an experience I had ever imagined happening. I mean, kind of in a sense, because I did imagine that we might have to have some NICU stay with Esme when we thought she was going to be born at 32 weeks. But when we got through that, I mean, I never thought, we would have to worry about or be concerned about a NICU stay with a future baby. So overall, I labored for just over 14 hours, experienced the worst pain of my life, and learned just how important it is to have an amazing medical team on your side. My team was exceptionally kind, they were super respectful, but most importantly, they were very informative. They explained why they were recommending things and why they were having me do the things they had me do, and they gave me the space to make decisions, so they definitely earned my trust without ever forcing it. So now here we are almost a month later, and I am incredibly grateful that Theo is here. He's healthy, and that's what matters most. But I'm also giving myself permission to say that it was difficult and it was heartbreaking. And it was also very emotionally draining. Those two things can be true at the same time. I can love my son and I can be grateful for him. I can be happy to experience having my third child, especially having him home with me now, but I can still feel emotional about how chaotic and unexpected his birth was. So thank you all so much for allowing me to share this journey with you, for watching and listening along as I explain how my third labor had went, and just the emotional roller coaster that was the birth of Mr. Theo. So if you also did not have a labor go as you expected, just know you are not alone. I completely understand. This is obviously, if you've been around for a while, you know this is the second labor that did not go as planned for me. So I'm starting to learn just to roll with the punches, but I feel you, Mama. I understand. And if you feel comfortable, let us know in the comments how your labor and birth went. And if it didn't go the way you wanted to, just go ahead and share that journey with us. That is all that I want to share with you guys today. As always, I hope you all have a fantastic day today. Until next time.